Hello bass family and welcome to Everything Bass. Today we're moving on with tapping pattern 7. This is a cool combination of a static chord with some upper register tapping that I'd love for you to learn, but don't stop there. Change the chord type, change the melody, make something your own. So this is just a starting point. So how do we get to it? We're going to use the open E. Then we're going to have the E string on the 7th fret of the the E on the 7th fret of the A string, the B on the 9th fret on the D string, and the F sharp on the G string. So that's the 11th fret. So we're going to hold those down. So we have the open can resonate, and then these will be fretted, and this hand doesn't change for the entirety of this pattern. So how I play it is I'll put my thumb, index, middle, and ring finger, and they'll index, like they'll be on the strings like this, and I just kind of go thumb, index, middle, ring, and let them just kind of create a wash. Don't interrupt any of the vibrations, don't take your pressure off, and that sets kind of the foundation of what we're going to tap. So after that, then I tap a 13th fret and I pull off to the back to the 11th. It's kind of a nice little setup. Now the next thing I do is I tap the 14th fret on the D string and I slide up to the 16th fret. So I go and I slide back down and pull off. Last thing I do to kind of bring a close to the phrase is I tap the 14th fret on the A string and I slide up to the 16th fret and just stay there. So let me play that really slowly for you. Now you might notice that every other time I didn't end with a 14th slide to the 16th, I just held on the 14th. It's just something I've gotten into on certain patterns where I'll just alter the end of the phrase a little bit so it's not so repetitive, and it seems to create a little bit of a resolved close to the phrase. Kind of seems like an end by just staying on that B, which I think works really well. So again, this technique is, I just want this to be the first domino of inspiration, if you will. Try different chord patterns. Now you might not be able to play every note of the chord that you're intending, but pick out which ones you can play that really identify the color of the chord. What I like about doing this, which is just an E9 chord, because it's E, E, the perfect fifth, and the 9. What I like about using that is it's not defined as major or minor. I define it by major or minor as soon as I tap that G sharp. But which that means is I could have a composition where I'm setting it up as major and then I resolve it to, or not resolve it, but I change it to minor to create a different tone or texture. Likewise, there's a lot of neat possibilities with this kind of playing. You can change the left hand chord intelligently so that you're staying within the parameters of the harmony, but you could change the left hand chord but keep the right hand notes the same, and that creates different, because now the right hand notes have a different relationship to the chord. You can keep the left hand chord the same, or I should be saying the fretting hand chord the same, but change the right hand melody, work through. Maybe that's where you do introduce maybe a different harmony or different melody, changing the chord quality to create whatever emotion you're trying to express. It's a really cool concept. I think it's fairly easy to execute. What you need to know are a couple things. Well, you need just basic tapping technique. You need to understand harmony and theory, which just means understand which scales go to which chords, and if you start moving the chords around, which chords sound good together, things like that. How to, chord movement, how to create, tension and the resolution in your progression. But all those things can be really learned. Have there been players that have done it fully by ear? Absolutely, absolutely. And so I can't deny that. But sometimes that takes a little longer, or sometimes you might be a little more limited by just what your ear can hear, and not necessarily the possibilities. So I hope you do explore understanding harmony theory better, learning your fingerboard so you know where all the notes are located. Things like that will make you a better tapper by far. I hope you dig this one. I really like this. I play this pattern and variations of it a lot of times when I just need to kind of chill out and relax. It's kind of almost become meditative for me, where I can just meditate on just playing it, hear the long tones, hear the resolutions that I'm creating, and then I feel better. So I'm hoping the same thing for you. Now let's move on to a really great recording. And you understand, at the time of recording, I'm 53 years old. And boy, when I first started playing, it was hard sometimes to find records that you hear guys talk about. Oh, did you get this new record? And you go to the record store and they don't have it on order, or maybe they don't work with that distributor, and it would be frustrating. You couldn't hear it online, and that's how it was with Steve Vai's Flexible. This was a very small release initially. But it was one of those things where people were like saying, oh my gosh, I found it in a record store and I bought it, and then you would all go to their house and listen to it. And finally I was able to find my own copy, and it was so different from what was out there. And the reason I'm including it as an encore item is because it was a recording by Steve Vai that was liberating for a lot of us. It showed how infinite possibilities are musically. Now remember, this came at a time when everything was very structured musically. I mean, I remember there was a book I read about music business where they said you had to get to the chorus within so many seconds. The intros couldn't be this long because they were all based on like radio play and things like that. You couldn't have long instrumental sections in songs. There was all these restrictions. And then in the production quality, everything was like, taking days and days to get the gated reverb on the snare just right. And all these things seemed really stifling, but we all played along. It was kind of like the culture at the time. We're writing the song. Remember, you got to get to the chorus right away. Oh, that solo's too long. And then this album came along, and it was liberating. For those of you who don't know it, it's avant-garde. It's crazy. It's the coolest, man. You probably know, if you know Steve Vai's playing at all, you probably know the Attitude song, which is a killer, amazing song with so many different twists and turns, and the performances are excellent, more rock oriented. That was probably one of the most straight ahead instrumental songs on the recording. And it is great. And he had Stu Ham played on some of the tracks. Peggy Foster's played on some tracks. Steve played bass on some of the tracks. And oh my gosh. So that's a great song, and that one's the test of time. I mean, Steve, I think, still plays it. Most every show he plays the Attitude song, which is amazing when you think about it's something he recorded on his first album. But Little Green Men, it's so tongue-in-cheek. I get a little bit of the humor from his time with Frank Zappa coming through on the tune. The playing's cool, the guitar sounds are excellent, but it's quirky. It is the definition of quirky. For me, oh my gosh, I almost forgot about Call It Sleep. Call It Sleep has ultimate melody. Put you right away into at least put me right away into a state where I was like, I got what he was saying, and I understood. It's still on my playlist, and like I have a huge playlist of songs that when I just want to like throw something on and work in the wood shop or something, of all songs I love, and it's on that list. But the one song that might surprise you that liberated me the most and changed how I approached the music I was creating was the song There's Something Dead in Here. So when guys name instrumental songs, sometimes I always try to figure out, well, why'd they call it this? And sometimes I can't figure it out. Why'd they call it that? I don't hear that. That's not what I'm getting the expression. I don't think they're expressing it. That is not the case with this song. There's Something Dead in Here is exactly what the music sounds like. Imagine if you walk into a room and everything seems nice, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, there's something dead in here. And then you start going, but what? Is it an animal? Is it a human? Imagine those thoughts. That's what you hear Steve play perfectly. That changed me. That changed how, when I do my instrumentals, am I that direct in conveying something? And by the way, he forgoes like standard song construction. The rules are out the window, because I don't think the rules would explain what he's trying to say, that there is something dead in here. Man, I just love it. I can still listen to it and remember that kind of revelation I had when I first heard it. And I'm curious what you guys think about it. Now it's easily available, by the way. You can find it on every site that sells CDs. You can, I believe you can even download it from his webpage, possibly. I'm not sure about that. I still have my original of it. So anyway, what a great album. And just quirky. I just love it. I love he just smashed the rules. He basically took all these record executives are saying this is what a song is, and saying you're not musicians, or if you were musicians, you're dead inside, because music isn't supposed to be one set of rules. Music's supposed to express an emotion, and sometimes the rules don't do it. So check it out. Boy, it's wild, man. It is black light neon color wild, and I love this album. I love everything about it. So anyway, there we have it. Tapping Pattern 7 and Flexible by Steve Vai. I hope you enjoyed both. Let me know what you think in the comments below. It would mean a lot to me if you could share this video with bass players that you think would enjoy it, and hit the like. That also helps my YouTube profile, my YouTube numbers. And of course, if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, that makes me so happy. I do little dances around the house when I see someone who's new is subscribed to the family. That'd be great. Would love the support. And of course, tap the little bell icon, because that'll always let you know when I post new videos. And I do that mostly on the weekends, and I haven't missed a weekend yet. There you have it. Hope you enjoyed this video today, and I will see you at our next video.